The S&B Cold Air that we have here would be an awesome choice for the 2019 and newer 5.3 liter Silverado owners looking for one of the nicest sealed enclosure options available at a very attractive price point. Now the S&B will feature a durable ABS plastic build for the airbox and the tube itself, reusable oiled filter, and a massive one at that, and will not require the use of any custom or can tuning. Price point for the 5-star rated option will live in that low to mid $300 range, and the install, at least according to the site, is going to get a solid 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, gang, and I would say take an hour at most to complete from start to finish. But hang with me for a bit and we'll show you how it's done later in the video. So I always like to say intakes are one of those gateway mods that oftentimes gets truck owners comfortable with modifying and working on their own rigs. Now, not only is there an instant improvement in both appearance and performance, but the satisfaction of tackling something on your own, something like this in the driveway or garage, definitely builds confidence for the next modification. Now, the S&B that we are covering here today is easily one of the most popular in the category for the 5.3 truck, with well over 100 5-star reviews. And as always, guys, I'm gonna very much encourage you to read up on some of those before pulling the trigger, as it's always good to hear from fellow Silverado owners about their experiences with this particular kit. Now, as far as your major components are concerned, well, 2 biggies jump out at me right away, guys. First and foremost, you are getting that sealed enclosure here with the S&B, and by the way, one that's been designed and built extremely well. Sealed enclosures are always going to be the best way to reduce high intake air temperatures, especially when the truck is stationary. Now, obviously when you're moving, not a huge deal because you're getting some airflow running through the filter. But if you're the type of owner who sits in traffic a lot and you live in a hot climate, this can kind of affect the truck, make it feel a little bit sluggish. So again, sealed enclosure is going to be one of your best ways to prevent something like that. Inside that sealed enclosure will be one of S&B's signature oiled filters. Look at this thing, guys, absolutely ridiculous. Easily one of the biggest filters I've ever seen, but hey, more real estate means more filtering, right? Now, I would say the general rule of thumb here when comparing oiled versus dry filters is that oiled filters are gonna flow a little bit better, whereas dry filters will capture a little bit more dust and particles. But ultimately, that shouldn't be a huge concern because this mammoth is living in your sealed enclosure, which means you're not gonna see a ton of dirt and dust flow through this thing like you would with an open enclosure. Now, the only drawback to going with an oiled filter like this is that sure, they do require a little bit more maintenance when it comes time to be cleaned and re-oiled, but the plus side of that equation is that you can essentially reuse this thing for the life of your rig. Now, as far as benefits, well, a more modified underhood appearance is certainly a given, but also a slight bump in both horsepower and torque, right? Now, we're not talking 20 to 30 wheel, guys. That's frankly unrealistic with something like this without a tune. However, typically I'm seeing high single digits, low double digits with something like this installed, depending on the condition of the system and the filter that you are replacing. Very important to point that out because, listen, if you're replacing something that's been on the truck forever, very dirty, obviously you're gonna see bigger gains and bigger benefits. Now, besides that, owners will also sometimes benefit from things like improved throttle response and even in some cases improved fuel economy, but those experiences tend to differ depending on how heavy a foot those owners have. Rest of the kit is very straightforward. We've already covered at length your airbox here, very nice again, massive filter, but also things like your rotomolded plastic intake tube. You're getting all the couplers, hardware, fittings, and even a mass airflow extension harness needed to get the system in place on your 5.3 at home. Again, this kit does not require any tuning whatsoever, so therefore Silverado owners can pull the trigger on this thing, crack open the box, slap it on your truck, and go without the need for anything else. Last but not least, the S&B kit is backed by a 1,000,000-mile warranty in case you run into any possible defects. But now we want to segue into the install, show you just what it takes to get this system in place on your Silverado at home. So without further ado, check out our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown right now.
Tools for this install: an electric ratchet, a ratchet, 15mm socket, 13mm socket, 10mm socket, 8mm socket, a T15 Torx bit, an extension, flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, 5/32 Allen key, trim removal tool, and a 19mm wrench. We're going to start by taking off our radiator cover. First, you're going to want to remove the hood latch using a T15 Torx bit. Now, it's very important you hold on to this hardware because you will not be able to open your hood again if you do not get your latch reinstalled. And with those bolts removed, go ahead and pull the latch away. After your hood latch is removed, go ahead and grab your trim removal tool and start getting these pop clips out of the top of the radiator cover. Now with your hood latch as well as pop clips in the radiator cover removed, you can now pull away the radiator cover. With your radiator cover removed, that is going to reveal another pop clip at the inlet tube that we need to remove that connects to the bottom side of the airbox. Go ahead and take your trim removal tool once again and get that clip removed as well. Now we can work on getting our stock airbox out. First step, you're going to want to undo the MAF harness. Go ahead and pull up on that red tab and pinch the clip to release that plug. Now go ahead and grab a flathead screwdriver or a 8mm socket to undo the clamp located at the throttle body. Now go ahead and grab your 10mm deep socket and undo the bolt located in front of the airbox on the colored stud. And go ahead and get your harness taken off of the airbox. And our last step before removing our cold airbox, go ahead and disconnect the PVC tubing by just pulling on the gray tab and go ahead and place that to the side. Go ahead and remove your airbox from the throttle body. Go ahead and grab your 13mm socket and remove the brace right in front of the inlet tube. With the brace removed, go ahead and pull up on your inlet tube to release it from the airbox and work it out of its spot. Grab your 8mm socket once again and undo the clamp at the intake tubing. Remove your intake tube from the airbox, and finally remove your airbox. With the stock airbox removed, go ahead and take this time to remove the PCV hose. That is going to be replaced with one that is provided in the kit. Now before we can get our S&B cold air intake into our truck, some assembly is required. We're going to start by placing our inlet grommet on the front part of our airbox. At this point, we're going to go ahead and install our optional box plug. However, you can leave this open for maximum airflow if you'd like. Go Go ahead and grab your 2 rubber stoppers and get them installed on the designated spots on the airbox. Now go ahead and grab your harness bracket and get that tightened on there with a 5/32 Allen key. And near the inlet, go ahead and grab your panel grommet and get that placed on the underside of the airbox. And place your shoulder washer through that as well. Since we are going to be reusing our MAF, we're going to go ahead and remove that from our stock airbox. Grab your T15 Torx bit and go ahead and get that unbolted. Now go ahead and take your MAF gasket, making sure it does line up with the actual opening on the intake tube, as well as the bracket for the MAF and your MAF itself. We are going to bolt this down with the kit provided screws and a Phillips head screwdriver. Go ahead and grab your quick connect fitting and get that threaded into your intake tube. Hand tighten first, and when it starts to tighten up on you, we'll go ahead and take our 19mm wrench and give it one solid turn. Now go ahead and take your coupler and the bigger of the 2 loose clamps and get that tightened over your tube using your 8mm socket. At this point, go ahead and grab your MAF extension harness and get that plugged in to your MAF. Go ahead and grab one of your push pin zip ties and get that placed at the middle of the tube. Go ahead and grab your harness's extra slack. Just so we can keep it out of the way of any moving parts. Now with your fuel hose curve facing towards you, go ahead and take your right angle fitting and get that placed on your right side. And your flathead screwdriver to clamp down the clamp. Now, opposite of your right angle fitting, we're gonna go ahead and get our straight fitting on the opposite end, grabbing a clamp and placing our fitting into our fuel hose. Once again, grab your flathead screwdriver and secure that clamp down. Go ahead and drop in your new airbox. Making sure to line up with your 10mm bolt. And reconnect your harness to the harness extension. Now this is gonna be a little bit hard to see, but that 10mm bolt that we removed from the colored stud when we had our stock airbox on, we're gonna need to get that back in place, because now it is located on the inside of the airbox. Now, to make it a bit easier on you to get your inlet back in place, we're gonna go ahead and remove the top bolt from the secondary brace at the front of the radiator. Grabbing your 15mm, go ahead and undo that top bolt. Once you have that bolt removed, go ahead and push that secondary brace as far down as you can without damaging the front grille. Now go ahead and grab your inlet tube and start to fish that into your new airbox. It is best if you take your other hand and get it into the airbox. Go ahead and grab your pop clip you removed from the inlet earlier and get it placed back in. Don't forget to bolt back in your secondary brace. And your primary brace. Again, for these bolts, it is going to call for your 13mm socket. After your braces are back in place, go ahead and grab your oiled filter and get that into your new airbox, making sure the grommet completely seals into the new airbox. Go ahead and grab your final clamp and your intake tube. Get that placed over the end that's going to connect to your throttle body. It is best to start at the throttle body. And with that, line that into your filter. Grab your 8mm socket once again and tighten down the clamp at the throttle body. As well as the filter. Reconnect your MAF line to the extension. and connect your new fuel hose. Now our final step, we'll go ahead and get our clear shield into its grommet so we can cap off the airbox. Go ahead and get your radiator cover back in place. Get your pop clips back in place. And again, guys, I do urge that you do not forget to get your hood latch back on. You will not be able to access your engine again without it. This is going to call for your T15 Torx bit once again. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for our review and install of the S&B cold air intake with oiled cleanable cotton filter, fitting your 19 and newer 5.3 Silverado 1500s. For more videos just like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button at AmericanTrucks.com.